Welcome to the TIMFD podcast. Today is my favorite day is about appreciating every day as it comes, no matter what life throws at us. We hope that this podcast speaks to you, and if it does, please like, share, and comment. Now let's find out why today is our favorite day this week.
Well, Dave, welcome back.
Hey.
Today is my favorite day, right?
Yes,
We are in the Christmas season.
Yoo-hoo.
You may be able to see some of our decorations in the background, but we will say Christmas season.
Yep.
This is what we
Christmas.
believe.
Yes.
You know, I've been reflecting here, Jeremiah 29:11.
Okay, did you come across that or something? What happened?
Yeah, and it's come up several times
Okay.
in the last week or so.
Okay.
Part of my study, I did a prayer meeting the other night, and it came up. I felt led to talk about it.
Uh-huh.
But he talks about the plans
Okay.
that we have.
All
Now,
right.
I know you have that memorized, and
Jeremiah
so
29:11.
There you go.
Yeah. It's funny because I have it in my book.
Right.
It's actually
Right.
in the chapter that deals with God's direction and plans for me.
Right.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to
Right.
give you a future and a hope.
Right.
Now, when I looked at that, and we kind of look at it a little differently, but they're both in agreement.
Right.
When I looked at it, I was looking at it as that God had plans for me to prosper me, because
Right.
he says that's what he's going to do. So prosper me, and a lot of times we equate it to money, but
Yeah,
it's
right,
really about that shalom, that peace and the contentment. The second thing was that he protects me. He's
Right.
going to give me that future and hope. And the last one is that he has positioned me exactly where he wants me to do his good work, wherever that is.
Right.
But you looked at it with the word future as a big deal for you.
Right.
So tell me about that.
It is a big deal. Well, I have almost 7 decades in
Yes,
here.
you do.
You know, and so the future is a big deal. And a lot of times we look at where we're at, what we've been through, and think, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, I got here, I got to this point. I've made mistakes, you know, but what is ahead for me?
Well, and the future that I talk about that in the sixth of those truths, which is that we have a future, and the future I focused on was heaven, of course.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know that he prepared it and he produced it and he promised it to us. But what we've been talking about, and we've been talking about before this episode,
Right.
which is the future we have right now,
Right.
tomorrow, the next minute,
Right.
the next week, if God gives that to us, the next month. And to me, that's the thing that we're really
Right.
focusing on, because people get stuck, right?
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny that we're talking about this. We just came out of a planning meeting for
for the future.
the next year,
Yep.
the future. And we get stuck on, this happened to me, I did this, I did that. And you
You get stuck.
get stuck.
Well,
you know?
I know that for you, you're in youth ministry. You help in
Yeah.
youth ministry.
Right.
And what happens with students?
And this is what I'm concerned with my students, and 7 decades and I'm dealing with teenagers again,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Okay. And it's fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. But I look back on my high school days, and I look back at some friends that I still have from back then, and high school's done. Their life is over.
Yeah, they think it's done.
They think it's done.
and athletes in high school.
Oh yeah, musicians.
Musicians,
I thought
same
about this
thing.
a minute ago. I from fifth grade on, I was involved in music.
Oh, there we go.
And so they think life is over, and
It's just beginning.
Right. And if you're an athlete or a musician and you don't get a scholarship, you
kind of wonder what's going on.
Then
I know
those
in college,
who go on to college.
College
yeah.
is the same thing. You graduate college. I ran track in college. I continued to run after that, but by the time I was 30, I couldn't do it anymore, and it felt like part of my life was done.
Right.
Now, obviously, career and everything was going on, but there was a part of my life, and there's people that graduate college and don't know what to do and
Right.
don't know where they're going, and they just feel lost, right?
Right.
And then they get into their 30s, get married, all this stuff, and then life happens, and divorce takes place, right?
Divorce, and that's a big one, and I've been through it.
Yep.
And you look at it, and it doesn't matter what the circumstances around the divorce were.
No.
And then I was married for 18 years.
Yeah.
And we divorced. A lot of issues. I was wrong in a lot of areas.
Sure.
Got it? I'll
Sure.
be the first to admit that. And we had fights over stupid stuff,
Yeah.
And even it took us 18 months to be divorced, but all through that time, I'm thinking, what am I going to do?
What are you going to do?
What am I going to do? How, so I was pushing 40 at the time.
Yep. And you're wondering what's going to happen with your life.
what's going to happen with my life now?
And that happens with a lot of people when they hit that. And then you get further down the line, 60s, 70s, and and people go, okay, I'm retiring. And they go, well, is all life is just kind of I'll go and retire, play golf, do whatever. But there's more to that. There are people who make huge differences and they do like a second career after they've kind of finished their first career. And you can give examples of that.
Like Ray Kroc. And everybody knows McDonald's. They're on every street corner and stuff like that. And I worked for them out of high school.
Got it.
And they used to tell us they weren't a hamburger joint. They were into real estate.
Sure.
But Ray Kroc was 52 years old.
Wow.
He was selling multi-mixers, they were called. It's the thing you used to put the shake cup on and it zzz, right? And now you can buy one for the house.
Sure.
But McDonald's brothers in California bought like 5 of them.
Got it.
Largest sale he had ever made. So he had to go out there and see what this is all about. So he goes out there, sees what it's all about, and
ends up taking over the whole thing.
Wow, and franchised it. And
that was at 52?
He was at 53.
Wow, 53
years old, I believe. And he just,
how about Colonel Sanders, though?
Colonel Sanders, that's right. 73 years old, Harlan Sanders.
Crazy.
When he developed his recipe and his idea for Kentucky Fried Chicken.
He started restaurants at 73.
Right, 73 years old. And
amazing.
Now you go into some truck stops and there's a McDonald's and a KFC right there.
Yeah.
So
and we could now think about these people who their life wasn't over. God had other things for them to do.
Right.
And I think that's the interesting part. As we go into Christmas right now, and there's a lot of people who feel like if they're estranged from their family, they're going through health issues, they've gone through a divorce, they've gone through whatever, or they're getting older.
Right.
Gone through loss, that they feel like there's just a lot, there's not much for them beyond this. That's a lie.
It is a lie. It's a huge lie. And we have to support each other in the fact that just because you've gone through and you've made mistakes, that your life is not over. And this time, and we both know this, Dave, this is a time when suicide rate goes up, depression, all that kind of stuff, because people try to buy happiness, and credit card debt and everything else. And so after the first of the year, we'll do a class on how to budget, right? Get out of that debt.
And the thing I think when it comes to Christmas is you not only have where we've made our mistakes, but then life hits us too.
Right.
And so we have these things that are going on. We think that we're supposed to be happy all the time during this season. And really it's a season of reflection. It's a season to remind ourselves who is in charge of this whole thing. And the part that you were talking about in Jeremiah 29:11, we went through that. But then 12, 13, and 14 talks about the things that God asks us to do.
Yeah.
We have some opportunities. Which one is prayer. Right? And to seek him. Right? And when we do those things, we're found by him. You and I were talking about that.
Right. The seek, and I think a lot of people misconstrue what the word seek is, because we can pray, but are we necessarily seeking God when we pray?
Sure.
Well, a lot of folks pray to get an answer.
Sure.
But he would rather we prayed to get closer to him.
Yeah. And
so, but if we seek him in everything we do, we get into the word, we get into the scriptures, he will be found. He says that over and over again in the scriptures, and
well, that Second Chronicles.
Yeah,
we were just talking about that 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from the wicked ways, then I'll hear from heaven, forgive their sin, heal their land. So there's that. If we do these things. Now, again, some people equate this that this is just like God's waiting to beat me up because I don't do this perfectly. That's not what we're talking about.
No, not at all.
We're talking about feeble, messed up, sinful, all of us people, normal people.
Right.
Who God says, just look for me.
Right.
And when you do that, I'll give you, at the end of those verses, 29, Jeremiah 29:11 through 14, I think the last few words are fortunes, right?
Fortunes, yes.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. But fortunes are a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Fortunes can be financial. Let's face it, can be financial.
Yes, of course.
It's relational.
Yes.
It's family coming together.
Blessings,
answers to prayer.
And one blessings and answer to prayer, and I want Sam to talk about this because it's really cool. You have family coming, and can you explain kind of what was going on, what happened, and go for that?
Okay. So my sister-in-law, Rita's sister, and 2 nieces will be arriving here on December 9th from the Ukraine. Now that sounds really simple, they just, right?
It doesn't sound simple to me.
So
I know what's going on. Everybody knows what's going on in Ukraine. It's crazy.
Right? They're in Kiev right now, but the process began with a program called Uniting for Ukraine.
Well, Kiev, where is that?
Kiev is in the eastern part of Ukraine.
Okay, it's a big city.
It is the biggest city.
Okay, the biggest city in Ukraine.
And has taken the most hits.
Okay, so that's where they're at.
That's where they're at.
Okay.
And at one point in time, they were in the basement, armed, protecting their home.
I just want people to understand.
Yeah. It's not
like you're just
situation.
sitting around kind of going, yay.
Yeah, my sister-in-law, her home and her business had bombs come through, and fortunately they didn't explode, so they could fix the roof. And my youngest niece, her school was blown up. And so
in that environment, you got that environment going on.
That's where they're at. They're sleeping on the floor.
Yeah. Most
times they don't have water. Most times they've been able to find food. The saving thing in their apartment where they are is when they can get to it, they've heated the apartments through the floors. And I don't know what they have, some sort of steam or something like that. So all the apartments stay warm.
Nice.
Which is good in wintertime. But anyway, we started the process back in May.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I made a little bit of mistake because sometimes I get a little dyslexic.
Okay.
And and so we went through the whole process of applying. You have to guarantee that they have a place to live, financial responsibility. You have to submit all sorts of documents.
All that stuff that they ask for.
The government asks for. And we did all that. And we're into August and we're not getting any answers. And now bear in mind, the prayer for this to happen goes back to about 2008.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember you telling me that you guys prayed for that for a long time. And then we started praying for this thing too.
Right,
so.
Yeah, the church started praying for it. And in 2014, when Russia first invaded, that's where my wife is from, Donetsk, and Eva and Leanna, my sister-in-law, were living there at the time, and so was Masha. And Masha got out and went to Kiev.
Masha?
Masha is the oldest niece.
Okay.
So, and it was so bad, her dental school got blown up.
Wow.
So in order to get her license as a dentist, she had to go to Moscow.
This is your wife, correct?
This is Masha.
Masha,
Masha's a dentist.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
in order to get her credentials as a dentist, she had to go to Moscow and take the test.
Wow. Yeah, I was equating your wife because I know she's in that world too.
She's in that world too. Yeah. And so this has come together through a lot of prayer. Huge, it brings us so much joy to see what God has done.
Mm-hmm.
We were all set to bring the girls,
mm-hmm.
and we got Masha approved, and then Eva's approval came through.
Right.
And so Leanna, mom, she says, okay, go. Well, there's a little clause in there that says minors must travel with a parent
mm-hmm.
or a legal guardian.
Sure.
The courts are not open. The post office is not open. There's nothing operating in Ukraine.
Yeah,
and
hard.
So
took a little while.
It took a little while, and Leanna finally said, "You know what? I need to come."
Yep.
And so they can be here for 2 years without doing a whole lot of things, but we can apply for citizenship and all that.
So the
kind
goal
of stuff.
is to try to aim for that, because to go back there right now would be
it would be
dangerous,
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of people that are getting some asylum from that country.
And there's some help. I actually talked to the Hillsborough County School District, had a pleasant conversation with them.
That's good.
And it looks like Eva will be able to go to school.
Awesome.
And so, but this has been so exciting for us, and trust me, this is just not happenstance. This is an answer to prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is an answer to a lot of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's that whole idea of that heal and heal that land, heal that family.
Land. That's right.
Bring you guys together.
Yeah.
And we'll pray for Eva, because the transition as a child coming here and having to go into now an American school and kind of get the feel of all that. That's going to be a transition itself.
Yeah, middle school, no less.
Oh man, that's tough. So that's tough.
I know. I have middle schoolers.
So and so the cool thing is how this ties together. You were going through these verses, Jeremiah 29:11 through 14. It's a verse that I used in my book.
In the book, yeah.
And now you're seeing it come to fruition.
Absolutely.
In your guys' own life.
Right.
with a family that happens to be in Ukraine.
Right.
And to me, that's a Christmas. It's going to sound funny. I want to look in the camera.
Yeah,
it's a Christmas
story.
miracle.
Yes, it is.
So the cool thing about this is that we're getting to see something. We were at one of our prayer meetings, and they said, "Man, we don't get to hear enough praise reports."
Right.
Here's a praise report.
Yep.
So what a cool thing to be able to see is, and we'll hopefully be able to do a big praise report next week.
Yes.
Because that's when they're supposed to be coming in.
On the 9th.
On the 9th.
Yep.
And then we have some church events, Christmas events. So hopefully they'll get to go to those.
Be here.
And it'll be fun. They'll get to get connected and see people. But for us,
and we have other Ukrainian families.
Yes, we do.
In the
yes, we do.
we
do. And so the cool thing about this, though, right now is that for us is that we see an actual family where this verse fits totally in place, and that we have a future.
Yep.
The future is every moment, every minute, every moment. We know our every breath is a gift.
Right.
It's also can be opportunities of fortune and connection that we're seeing with your family.
Yep.
And we also could see it with people who have gone through hard, difficult times in their life and still can move forward.
Right.
And even at the end of a life, like what we heard you said, McDonald's and KFC came about for people who had already kind of almost had the end of what you would say the career, and they had a second career that ended up being amazing.
Absolutely.
So I think that we got to keep hope alive.
Well, and Ray Kroc went on and bought the San Diego Padres, which probably was not a good idea for him, but he did do that. We all make mistakes, right?
Yeah. So the bottom line is that for us, we wanted to have this podcast really be focused on some verses, but also to be an encouragement.
Right.
And the encouragement is that God has a future for us.
Right.
He has a hope for us, and he wants to bring fortune to us in all parts of our lives.
All parts of our lives. And to that end, we would like to hear from you.
Yep.
If you have if you have prayer that you want us to pray for, we will do that.
Yep.
Drop a comment, let us know, reach out to us at the church.
We'll put on the email on there, and we'll also put it at the church email, so you guys can call if you're in different parts of the country or whatever. You can do that, and we'll put it right in our prayer teams. We have a number of prayer teams that could do this, and then secondly, if you have any praise reports, we'd love to hear.
Yeah,
we'd love to hear.
We love to hear praise reports. God's working; He works in so many ways, and it says God works in mysterious ways. That is absolutely the truth.
Yeah,
it's just it just is.
Yeah.
So. Dave, you have any last minute thoughts on?
I'm going to enjoy this Christmas season. Obviously, you know that we went through the loss of a child, so there's going to be ups and downs. And people ask me all the time, how you doing? And I also answer it the same way every time, which is I'm doing the best I can at this moment.
Right.
And so right now, it's fun getting all the Christmas stuff and all that.
Right.
But the week before, Tanya and I were crying at our house because we put the Christmas stuff up, and it reminded us of our daughter.
Right.
My hope is that we can give comfort to others through this time. So if you've gone through a loss, if you've gone through a difficult time, know that you're not alone. And I want to encourage you to go to 2 Corinthians 1 and read verses, I think it's like 3-6. It comforted me. God uses our pain for his glory, and we can also be comforted by him, but comfort others, and you can do the same. What about you?
I am obviously thankful for what's going on. This is my first Christmas with both my parents being gone.
Yep.
My uncle, my mom's younger brother, passed away this last week.
Oh, wow.
And we had just started to reconnect. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
There was some tension there, when my grandmother died. But I feel energized for this Christmas, and just the stuff we were talking about in our planning meeting and everything that's coming together. And it's like my calendar for December is full.
Yes.
And so I'm really looking forward to it. Good. And I believe that God is going to move through this, and that people are going to be blessed. And we would encourage you, reach out to your local church, reach out to people in your circle, and get involved. See the richness and the fullness that God has for you at this stage in your life.
Yeah.
Because he does.
Yeah. And at whatever stage and whatever place we happen to be in, it could be a down place, and God could still use it for his glory. Absolutely. And you will see it. You'll see it. So this is Today is My Favorite Day podcast.
Yes.
And we're at the end of it. And
yes, we are.
And so we just want to encourage you guys, check out the next ones we have. We have some cool things coming up that are going to be about about future and about what we want to do, and what we'd like to see you guys do for next year to make 2023 awesome.
Awesome year.
Right?
Absolutely. All
Merry
right.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We'll be saying that again.
We'll say
too.
that again a couple more times.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD, Today is My Favorite Day. Views, comments, and opinions are those of the host and guest alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Fott. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed.